Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'd like to showcase how to use Python to code our own program to simulate Hydra to crack SSH service. As Hydra, this program we are going to create will simulate behavior options or options of Hydra, such as option of maximum threat, option of NSR. This means the program will use the login username or null or reversed username to log in to the target, and also can allow user to specify word list for username and password. So this will be going to be a general purpose SSH cracker. Before we go ahead, however, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. So now we can head over to Kali Linux, and I will use this machine as a target. And I will not start from scratch. We only focus on the SSH service cracking. Okay, now we can head over to Kali Linux. Let's open up the editor of PyCharm. Okay, and maybe we can start from scratch to create this would be fantastic program. We can right click on this folder what we are working on and new Python file. We can limit like my SSH cracker. Okay, we need to import a few modules. The first module I will be importing is paramiko. This module can make collection to the target machine over SSH tunnel. Although we can use paramiko to create server or SSH server, but in our case, we'll use paramiko to serve as client or SSH client. Next, we need to import the ThreadPool futures. Futures module contains two major classes. The first one is ThreadPoolExecutor. So this, unlike threading, this class allow us to specify the concurrent threads at one time. Okay, similar to this one, we also can use process pool executor, but from the perspective of resource usage, I prefer to use this one. And also we need to import a function as complete. This function will get, when a thread or any specific thread completes, will yield something, and this function will gather or store such results, and then we can make some checks. You will know what I mean when we get it there. And also I'd like to import a threading module, but here I use the module to generate or create event like stop event and capture or detect event. So this means when any thread matches valid username and password, and in this thread we can set the event like stop event, and other threads before launch any other threads will check whether the event is set or not. If it has been already set, we do not need to launch any additional threads. Okay. And next, I'd like to import a queue module. This module can share variables across different threads. And next, also, I'd like to import OPT parse, although there will be several available modules which can handle users' input or users' options or arguments, whatever, okay? But I prefer to use this one. Sorry about this. And next, I'd like to import sys module. This module, there will be two major usage or use case. First, can control the flow of program. And secondly, also we can capture, for example, like the program name, because this has a guide. This attribute stores a list of arguments specified by the user, and the index of 0 is the program or file name itself. Okay. Since this program is going to be a bit complicated, so I think we need to use OOP method, object-oriented programming method. Okay, so let's use a class keyword to define class, and the name is SSH cracker. Okay, for the name of a class, unlike name for the variable or function, we need to, by convention, we need to capitalize every word in this name. But SSH, this is the entire word. So we capitalize all characters in the SSH. I think you have really got my idea. Usually, we can define the init. This is constructor for the Python class. But for now, we do nothing. We put a pass statement here. Next, for me, I always use the name for this method, parameters. So this, I think as one of important principle for each method or for each function, the task should be focused. Just do one thing or one task. Okay? So this method we will implement the user's input or arguments. But now we put a pass for a moment. And next, I'd like to define the SSH login. We try to, this is function for worker. And for, when we create the pool or thread pool, and for each thread will run a worker or perform worker, okay? And what the worker will be doing, this is the block of code which will be executed by this worker, but now it's pass. And also for me, I always define the major or run method for this object or this class. Okay, next we can check or have if statement name if equals to main. Then the following code would be executed. For example, we can initialize the object or instance of our own class. Okay, and we can call its major or run method. If this, if you import this file to other files or other Python files, and then in that case, the name attribute will not equal to main. So the following code will not be executed. Okay, let's save our program. And for me, I always code this method first. Okay, so we can initialize the opt pass class, and we can give some kind of usage and placeholder of string, and this should be the program name itself. and we can specify the target, and then we can specify the port number in case the target machine is not using default port number or 22. And also we can specify the username word list, and password word list. Okay, and also, can specify the E option, like Hydra. As you know, Hydra support this option, E, NSR, try now or login as pass or reversed login. Okay, so similar to Hydra, we can use this option like 1 or 0. 0 means will not use this option. So next is the threads. M threads. So the threads, how many threads which would be executed by this thread pool. Okay, and we can put sys archive 0. Index 0 means the program name itself. Maybe this line is too long, so we can make this line across multiple lines. I think it's better. So now we can add options. Add option. The first option is target, and this is a short name for this argument, target or option. And the dest, dest we can set the temporarily name for the for this argument, for this option. We can use the same name, target, and the type should be string. And also we can set help message, specify target to connect to. Okay, and similarly, I think we can copy this line, right? We can copy. We can paste multiple times. Okay, so the next option or argument would be port number, port, and port. The type should be integer or int, short for integer. And also we need to add one more option here. Default is 22, right? Specify the port. Okay. Next should be username word list. So the long name is username underscore word list. Okay, and so we can use the same name to the dest, and type should be string. Specify the username word list. So next is password dictionary. Password, and then we can copy. Copy and paste away is secure, right? And so now it's E option, and the long name is, maybe we can call it NSR, whatever, it doesn't matter. NSR, and the type should be integer, and we can use a default value to be 0. 0 means false, and so specify whether to use null or username or reversed username to log in. Okay. And the last option is m, the number of threads. And also the destination, we can copy and paste over here. But of course, the type should be integer or int. Specify the number of threads. Okay, so now it's done. Next, we can call its method pass arguments. So this will return a tuple, and usually we just care about the first element in this tuple. Args will store the positional arguments. So now we need to make some checks. If options target is none, or options, but it's possible the user doesn't specify the port number. In that case, we'll use default value 22. And username, maybe we can copy this way. It's a safer way. Is none or options password with the list. And also we can set the default value for the threads option is none. Then we can print out its usage. The parser is object, and this object has attribute usage, and we'll print out this piece of information. And we can exit from the program. And also we need to check whether the word lists exist or not. So we can use parentheses because we want to make 2 checks. Okay. And the first, not OS pass exists, and options user. Similarly for the password with the list, password with the list. And then we can we can print either what the list is not available. Okay, and we do not need to go ahead anymore. Exit from the program. So if everything is fine, then we can return all of arguments. So options target, options port, options password, dictionary, options, and SR, options, threads. Okay, so that's all, a bit long, but I think it's acceptable. Now we can initialize in the init method, we can initialize some attribute. So self, this will return a tuple. So we can unpack this tuple: self target, self port, self username word list, self password word list, self NSR, self threads, get parameters. A bit long. Can we make this line across 2 lines? Okay, it's okay. So now, besides these attributes for our object, also we need to set attribute of a queue. Just I mentioned, this can store or share variables across different threads, and also we can set stop event. Of course, you can use any other name, but stop event name as name is very descriptive and meaningful, right? So threading event, that's it. Now we come to this method. Before we go on, we need to check whether this stop event is set, and then we do not need to proceed. We just return. We will not need to return anything. Otherwise, we can try and accept. If there is any exception, for example, wrong password, we just return false or anything. Otherwise, we can return true. Next, we can initialize the SSH client paramiko, and this object has method set missing host key policy. Whenever we try to SSH to the server, and we will be given this message. Do you want to continue? Do you trust the public key of the target? Something like that. So we need to use this, or we need to call this method, and paramiko add or to add a policy. Okay, now we can try to connect to the target. Host name is target, and port number is port number. Username is, I think we need to give two parameters here, username and password. So here should be username, password. Okay, so I think that's it. Now, if the collection is successful, so we can put the valid username and password to the queue. We can put it as a tuple, username and password. And also we can set the event set. Okay. Now we come to the run method. First of all, we can create the variable futures. This list will store all threads later. Okay. And next we can, create the thread pool object, thread pool, and max workers. We can set it to the threads. Okay, as you can use any name to this object. So now we can open the username dictionary, right? Self username dictionary, a word list with read-only mode. And so for line, because usually the word list for username would be small, not very big, right? For line in F, read the lines. So the username would be line strip. We want to delete all spaces in the end. Now, we need to, of course, we need to check whether this option is set and SR. If set, and then we can, submit the task to the next futures, append, and executor. So this will give the function for the worker SSH login, but we need to remove parentheses and username the blank. Or we cannot pass the blank, and the username. But we got error. Is not callable with executor. Oh, sorry. We should use its method submit. My bad. And also, I think we can pass the empty string. Okay. Now we just copy and try another one. The username itself. Username would be the password as well. And we can use reversed username. So how to get a reversed username? Very easy. Username -1. This will get the reversed string of the username. Okay. Now we can open the passwords word list. Read-only mode as G. In the real engagement, usually password word list is very huge, like lock queue. If you use the read lines to open up, you will get some error. So instead, I prefer to use a while loop to retrieve this file line by line. Okay, while true, and we can use a try except pass. So the line or maybe we can use line 2, doesn't matter. And we can use G read line. If length of line 2 equal 0, it means it comes to the end of this file, so we can break. And also we can get its password because we need to strip space. Next, we need to have if statement. If self stop event is set, we can break. We do not need to submit the task to the thread pool. Otherwise, we can copy this line, and here should be password. Okay. And if you want, I think we can print print try to log in with username and password. We can use formatted string. Username and password. Okay. Now, of course, if out of this loop, we also need to check whether in this loop, outer loop, we can check if self stop event is set, and also we can break. So we need to have 2 breaks for 2 layers of loop. Now we can for future in futures or not as complete or as complete, and so futures for each thread we can check if self stop event is set, and also we can break. Okay, it's done. Next we can check out of 2 loops, we can check if our queue has something. Okay, itself queue empty, it means that we fail to get the password. There is empty in this queue, so we can print fail to crack. Okay, otherwise we can while not self queue empty, and so we can unpack this tuple self queue get, and we can print out something like successfully cracked the target, and username and password. Okay, so here okay, let's run our program to see whether this can get it executed successfully. Let's run Python SSH. Oh, not my SSH. Press enter. So if we do not specify any argument, we will be given its usage. The target, the username, dictionary, and useful dictionary. Okay, let's press enter. So we cannot, Python file P. Interesting. This should be py. Let's run it. So try to log in with username, password. Very quick, right? As you can see, we successfully cracked the target. And also, if you want, you can specify the, the option like 1, and let's press again. Okay, it works as well. So I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you next. Have a good day, please.